What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Home Field Podcast. So, for today's video, we're going to tackle another what if scenario. We did one just a few days ago tackling the question, what if Tom Brady were to win Super Bowl 55 coming up next week? So, it'll be kind of a similar question that we posed with the Tom Brady one, but we're going to focus on the other team in Super Bowl 55, which is the Kansas City Chiefs. But we're going to specifically focus on the quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. And the simple question that we're going to throw to you guys is, what if Patrick Mahomes wins Super Bowl 55, and what would the win do to his legacy in his early part of his career as the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs? However, for this episode, or for this segment, I'm going to get a little bit of help here. My friend Kevin Valentin, he's the host of the 104.6 and 1 podcast. We're going to have him on. I'm going to pose some questions to him, and it should be fun. I hope you guys enjoy the back and forth that we have. It's always a good time with Kevin, and I think you guys will really enjoy this. So with that said, we welcome in Kevin Valentin. Kevin, I'll ask the question to you. What if Patrick Mahomes wins Super Bowl 55 in a week from now? What is the impact of that victory for him?
So let me be clear. Patrick Mahomes' career right this second before the Super Bowl is already incredible. The man has been in the league, what is this, his fourth season now?
Mhm.
Didn't play the first year until the very last game of the year. So technically he's only played football for 3 full years at the pro level.
Mhm.
And we're talking MVP, first shot, that's starting. Like 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. Like the man completely broke the league and just came into it with kind of a childish mentality of, I'm just going out there to have fun, and that's what everybody should have. But obviously, when you get to this level, it becomes practice, repetition, a business. It becomes a job because you're trying to perfect your craft and be the best of the best. Pat Mahomes was going out there and doing things we've never seen before: left-handed passes, flick passes, sidearm throws without looking. I mean, you name it, Pat was doing it, and he was doing it effectively. He wasn't doing the let me throw it 70 yards and pray somebody goes and gets it. He was meticulously beating up defenses. And he did admit, I believe it was last season, that MVP season, he didn't even know how to properly read a defense.
Mhm.
Now, if that doesn't scare the living shit out of defensive coordinators, I don't know what does. Because this man had no idea what stunts were coming, what coverages were coming, what blitz packages were coming, what cadences were coming on the defensive end. Like, he had no concept of what the other team was doing, and he threw 50 touchdowns. Like, that first year was enough for me to be like, wait a minute, this guy's kind of creepy. And he
Mhm.
was an offsides penalty away from going to the Super Bowl and winning, because we both know that Rams Super Bowl was ass.
Mhm.
That Kansas City offense would have scored 40 or 50. No disrespect to the Rams defense, that year was good, but Pat Mahomes, there was no way they were stopping him. We would be talking about a whole different category if Pat won the first one, because that would have been his first 3 years starting, 3 straight Super Bowls, 3 straight wins. If he were to win this one, I'm saying that he's already had the best start to an NFL career, in my opinion, as it is. Going and winning the MVP, going and winning the Super Bowl, and coming back in the Super Bowl. I believe each playoff win or each playoff game last season, they came from behind and they won by an astronomical amount of points, like throughout the entire postseason. And then you go and do this. Since his loss to the Patriots, Patrick Mahomes is 7-1 in the postseason. Insane. His postseason stats, I'm assuming, are absolutely crazy, and you're going to get into that within a couple of seconds because I'm almost done. But if Pat wins next Sunday, that not only solidifies him as one of the greatest of all time, off rip, that solidifies him as having the best start to a pro athlete's career. We're talking MVP, Super Bowl. You can't start off any hotter. And other than winning that first Super Bowl with the MVP, but you're talking a 25-year-old has not only won it twice, he has an MVP and 2 Super Bowl MVPs pending how the game goes. And in this game, he beats the GOAT. He beats not Jared Goff, not Trent Dilfer, not a random just Super Bowl temporary quarterback. He beats a 6-time pretty much almost all passing NFL record leader, Tom Brady, in Tampa at 25.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question that I'm going to repeat myself because you can't say anything further. If this doesn't stamp Hall of Fame, I don't know what does.
I mean, I'm pretty much with you for the most part. The way that I see it is he's had such an amazing start to his career already. I mean, within the first year that he started, he threw 50 touchdowns. He won the MVP by a mile in 2018. And like you said, they were only a defensive offsides penalty away from going to Super Bowl 51, where they would have played against the Rams. Now, that Rams Super Bowl would have actually been kind of interesting because earlier in that season, they played each other. And I believe the Rams won at home. It was 54-51. It's like the highest scoring game in NFL history, or it's one of them.
That game was fire. Fire.
So I don't know if it would have necessarily been the same thing had they played each other again in the Super Bowl, but everybody would have loved to see that matchup. I certainly would have, and I'm a Patriot fan. So I would have been all for an all offensive Super Bowl. I mean, the one that we got for Super Bowl 53 was just atrocious. It was 13-3. So I actually take that back. I think I mentioned Super Bowl 51. It was Super Bowl 53 that I meant to reference earlier. But since then, he's had some injuries. I remember he did have that knee issue last year where he ran on that QB sneak, and apparently, like, he dislocated his knee or
his patella. Yeah, the patella came off. He had to put it back.
A very odd injury, but he came back from it relatively quickly. Obviously, this year he was relatively healthy throughout the entire regular season. Put up 38 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. So he had a fantastic year. He did take that one.
He didn't play week 16. Yep.
Yeah, he only started 15 games, so they already clinched the number 1 seed at that point. But here's how I kind of look at this scenario. If Mahomes were to win this matchup against Brady next week, it would essentially confirm that he has had the greatest start to any quarterback in the NFL. And as far as I'm concerned, I would probably say the greatest start to any player in NFL history. Now, obviously, I'd have to do a little bit more research, so I'm not entirely comfortable saying that. But as far as quarterbacks go, it would essentially confirm that he's had the greatest start in NFL history compared to any other quarterback. And that includes Brady, who is the greatest of all time as far as I'm concerned. And I do have some quarterbacks here that we can go over real quick to kind of highlight how their first 3 seasons started. So Mahomes went through his first 3 seasons, and just to kind of give you a perspective of how dominant he was, he threw for 14,152 yards. He threw 114 touchdowns and 24 interceptions. Now, if you're to compare that to some other players in the league who are currently playing right now, like Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, he washes them by a mile. Just to kind of give you an example here. So in Aaron Rodgers' first 3 years as a starter with the Green Bay Packers, he threw for 12,394 yards, threw for 86 touchdowns to 31 interceptions, and had a 64.5% completion percentage. Pretty good start. And then also I got Russell Wilson. He threw for 7,100 yards, threw for 72 touchdowns to 26 interceptions, completing about 63.5% of his passes. And then I mentioned Brady earlier. He threw for 10,227 yards, 69 touchdowns to 38 interceptions, and a 62% completion percentage in his first 3 years as a starter for the New England Patriots. So all those guys, those stats are specifically related to the first 3 seasons that they had in the NFL as a starter. They're fairly good numbers. But Mahomes has almost 30 more touchdowns than Aaron Rodgers. And Rodgers had a fantastic start to his career in Green Bay. And Brady, at the beginning of his career, was nowhere near the quarterback he is now. he struggled to really be a consistent passer, especially in those first couple of years. It wasn't really until about 2007 he took off. But Mahomes is just on another level. The best comparison that I can kind of make with Mahomes is that he reminds me of Steph Curry in the NBA. The way that he is able to just light defenses up and make it look easy, do it with relative ease, is the part that just baffles me. And to your credit, you mentioned that the first year or two that he was in the league, he wasn't even properly reading defenses. You give him a couple years where he fully understands the defensive looks that the defense is giving him, good luck trying to stop him. Now, the thing is, though, it would definitely be the greatest start to a quarterback in NFL history if he wins Super Bowl 55. However, it's the start. And you would have to kind of project how his career would go over the next 5 to 10 years. So, yeah, he could have an amazing start to his career. And some are saying that he might be the only one right now who's really in the running of even threatening Brady's greatest of all time title. But the future is still kind of we don't know what the future is going to hold for Mahomes after 5-10 years down the road. And the one thing that I will say about Mahomes is he's a mobile quarterback. And if you were to look at somebody like Brady is strictly a pocket passer. That is why Brady, to his credit, has probably been able to play so long, is because he's never really had that big of an injury outside of the 1 year he tore his ACL in 2008. Mahomes has had some injury issues already. Like I said earlier, he was dealing with concussion just a few weeks ago after he got popped against the Browns. He had the knee issue last year. So there have been some moments where his health is questionable. I'm not saying that he hasn't missed the season yet. Hopefully he doesn't, just for the sake of him and his career. But that's the one thing that kind of intrigues me moving forward, is if he can stay healthy or not and keep this pace up. Because if he keeps this pace up, he is going to break every statistical record known to man in the quarterback position. I mean, he's already thrown for 14,000 yards in his first three seasons as a starting quarterback. He already has over 100 touchdowns, and his touchdown to interception ratio is ridiculous. I mean, it's like 5.5 touchdowns to 1 interception. He is nuts. And he has the record to prove it too. He dominated pretty much the entire year this year, outside of the one loss, I think, against Oakland this year. They beat everybody else except for, I think, the last game of the year where they lost, but he wasn't even playing anyway. So the last 2 seasons, regular seasons that Mahomes has played in, they've been essentially unbeatable. And really the only team that's given them maybe some issues is probably New England. Even this year, New England kind of gave them some issues, even if Tom Brady wasn't there. So now that New England is out of the question, granted, you have new and up-and-coming teams in the AFC that are definitely going to vie for that top spot. But as far as I see it, Mahomes is the king of the AFC right now. And somebody's going to have to prove to me that they are of that level, of that talent, to knock him off from that spot. And I don't really see it, at least in the near future for right now. I think Mahomes is by far and away the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I know there's kind of like a back and forth between some guys in the current moment, but I'll take Mahomes all day.
Any day of the week. I do like that you referenced the Steph Curry analogy or comparison, because the Kansas City is very similar in that regard to the Golden State Warriors of the time, because they drafted Travis Kelce. They drafted Tyreek Hill. They drafted Edwards-Helaire. They drafted Patrick Mahomes. They drafted Fisher. Like that team is very, very homegrown, aside from a few select free agents here and there, like the Honey Badgers, Sammy Watkins, and that list kind of goes on and on. But other than that, their main core was made on draft night. They found gems that worked for their system. They found a great veteran head coach in Andy Reid with plenty of playoff experience, plenty of championship culture experience. leading the Eagles to Super Bowl and multiple NFC championships. But to have a player like Patrick Mahomes leading the drive, leading the team, to have a once in a lifetime player like Patrick Mahomes to do what it is that he's doing on a consistent basis. He's not having like one off year, one good year, one super great year, one bad year. It's every single season it seems that he gets better. And if these injuries weren't, they're not necessarily plaguing him, but if these little tidbit rough up little scenarios, if he's not missing 2 or 3 games here, if he's not missing a concussion game here, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's to say he doesn't even have better stats?
Yeah.
And it's absolutely incredible. And to hear the quarterbacks you just listed, and each of those quarterbacks in their first 3 years winning a Super Bowl is ridiculous. Russell won his first against the Broncos within his first 3 years. Tom won his first against who did he
The
come in?
Rams.
The Rams. When that was the greatest show on turf. That was one of the greatest teams in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you have damn, I forgot who you listed already. I'm getting old. Shit.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wins the Super Bowl in year 2, and then year 3 he gets an MVP.
I believe his third season that he was a starter, he won the Super Bowl.
Right, because 2008, 2009. Right. So year 3 wins the Super Bowl, year 4 wins an MVP. I mean, you're naming Hall of Fame quarterbacks right here. Like, there is absolutely no question. There is what if scenarios in all of their careers as well, and we're not going to get into that. But I mean, the 3 of those guys alone, like just actively, are Hall of Famers as it is. And Pat Mahomes, like you said, with all the numbers, he is smoking the competition.
Yeah, I think the way that I see it is to kind of throw out another comparison. There are other quarterbacks that have already retired from the game and they're already in the Hall of Fame that had a Hall of Fame career, but necessarily didn't have the start that Patrick Mahomes had, except for one guy, and that's Dan Marino. So Dan Marino in his first 3 years, depending on how you assess like when he was a full-time starter, because in his rookie season, he played in 11 games and he started in 9 of them, but he didn't start full-time as the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins until year 2. If you're to actually look at Dan Marino's stats, the first 3 seasons, the first 3 full seasons that he started 16 games or more, he was absolutely sensational. He threw for over 120 touchdowns in his first 3 seasons as the full-time starter for the Miami Dolphins. Granted, he won an MVP, I believe, in 84. That was his second year in the league. So I kind of see Mahomes kind of in the same similar light as Dan Marino was back in the 80s, because don't get me wrong, there were great quarterbacks during that era, but it was Dan Marino that really pushed that quarterback position to a whole new level back in the 80s. And I think Mahomes is kind of doing the same thing now, where you have, don't get me wrong, you have great quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, even Drew Brees and Tom Brady, even though they're at the end of their careers. They are well-established and Hall of Fame quarterbacks. But now you have Mahomes coming into the mold and essentially pushing the quarterback into that next era where not only can he use his legs to extend the play, but he can throw the ball a mile. I mean, literally, the guy can throw the ball 60 to 70 yards with ease. And when you have speedsters like Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, Sammy Watkins, you got a reliable tight end in Travis Kelce. Good luck trying to stop that. They have the perfect system and the perfect core of guys to run the system with Patrick Mahomes at the top of that. And really that duo between Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is just money in the bank all day. And I expect it to continue as time goes on. That's just how I see this going. And I'll tell you what, I think the Chiefs have a very good shot to get this win in Super Bowl 55 next week. We'll probably talk about Super Bowl 55 more as we get closer to the game next week. But are there really any final thoughts that you wanted to throw about Mahomes before we end wrapping this up?
I just want people to realize that the Hall of Fame quarterbacks that you were about to mention, that include Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, so on and so forth. Those are some of the greatest quarterbacks that this game has ever seen in multiple different eras. Obviously, Dan Marino playing in the 80s and the 90s, Peyton playing in the late 90s into the 2000s. And, unfortunately, Dan Marino was regarded as the greatest quarterback of all time for a long time until Favre broke those records. But he could never accomplish the one goal, which was to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these quarterbacks already have the hardware. So it's never been about the hardware. Brady's just has the most hardware in the NFL. Brady also has the numbers behind it, and Brady has the consistency throughout his career. So just remember, when you think about it, and and people try to dispute this, and people try to make the point of it's only year 3 or year 4, and even if he loses, he's just another subpar. He's just another regular quarterback. He's going to hit his downfall. He's peaking right now. This is his ceiling. You are dead wrong. This team is literally contractually bound together for the next 3 to 4 seasons, pending Kansas City's financial situation. Travis Kelce is locked up. Andy Reid's locked up. Pat Mahomes obviously had a sports-breaking contractual year. Chris Jones is locked up. This team is here to stay for a long time. And whether or not he wins or he loses, this team's going to be competing a minimum divisional round for the next, I don't know, 5 years, would you say, Kyle? If you had to put a number on it, probably 5-6 years?
I think what they're going to do is very similar to what New England did this past decade. I think they're going to be essentially a lock in the AFC Championship for the next 3 to 4 years. Because
we're talking about a dynasty here, a potential dynasty.
Essentially, that's kind of how I see it. Even if they don't win this year, I don't think it really changes the argument for me whether or not that Mahomes has had the best start to any other quarterback in NFL history. Even if he loses this, I mean, to go to two Super Bowls and honestly almost get to 3 in the first 3 years that you started as an NFL quarterback, it's sensational. He's got the hardware to back it up. He has the stats, and his record is just outstanding. To me, he has all 3 components to put him in that spot right now. Now, like I said earlier, you kind of have to see how he transitions from the beginning part of his career into the middle part of his career, because they may build this team to win at the beginning of his career, but that middle part of the career is where some quarterbacks have had a difficult time winning Super Bowls. Tom Brady went to 2 of them, but didn't win both of them. He lost both of them. So that's the thing that I'm going to kind of look out for as Mahomes continues his career. But I think it's really kind of like the final point that I'll make for Mahomes as he goes up against Brady next week. The way that I see Mahomes is this guy is just dynamic. I don't think anybody has really found an answer to stop him yet. And until they do, he's going to continue he's going to continue to dominate the league, unlike I think any quarterback has ever done before. I think what you're seeing with Mahomes is that next generation of quarterbacks, and until somebody shows me that they can stop him, which really no team has been able to do that yet, he's here to stay. And I think it just confirms to me that he has had the greatest start than any other quarterback in the league. I'm not saying that he's the GOAT already. I'm not saying that. He has a long way to go before we can even get to that discussion. But he's starting out fine right now, and I got to give him credit for that. He has exceeded the expectations that were set in front of him when he first started, and you got to give a lot of credit to Andy Reid too for his development, because he has done an outstanding job developing Patrick Mahomes into the quarterback that he is today.
Without a doubt. My final point, everybody needs to watch out. That Patrick Mahomes deal might make or break his career. I'm just throwing that out there now. He locked so much money from this franchise. If they go into a spell of whether they make the playoffs or they don't get to the Super Bowl, they continuously lose the Super Bowl because they only have Pat, that's on Pat. There's no reason you need to have $500 million locked up on one player. That's all I'm going to say.
And it's over, what, a 10-year deal?
This man's making $50 a year.
but he earned it. He earned
I'm
it.
not denying that, but he will see. I get it. Play for your bag now because you're young, but when you start getting older and you start realizing, damn, this offensive line is crap, or I got no running back, or I got no receivers, or this defense is shit. He's gonna have to start understanding, oh, maybe I should take a little bit of a pay cut yearly. Maybe I should save them some money. Because Kansas City can hit the luxury tax for only so long or go over for so long. So we're gonna have to see what happens there financially in Kansas City.
That's what helped Brady out a lot. He didn't get paid top dollar like some other quarterbacks were, and that really kind of helped his career. Now with Mahomes, we're gonna see what happens, just because, I mean, he's the top guy as far as quarterbacks who are getting paid right now, and I hope the success continues like it has the first couple seasons, but it's that middle part of the careers, especially for quarterbacks, where it may be some uphill sledding as far as I'm concerned, or really just kind of like an uphill battle, just because Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and even Tom Brady, they didn't really necessarily win a Super Bowl in their prime. Russell Wilson hasn't won in his prime yet. Aaron Rodgers has yet to even make another Super Bowl since the first one that he got to in 2010. And Tom Brady, except for 2007 and 2011, that was the only two times he got to the Super Bowl. Outside of that, he didn't win his fourth Super Bowl until 2014. So,
hey,
just saying,
I'm not gonna be mad.
It was a 10-year spell. It was a 10-year spell.
If he want to go on a little drought for a couple years, let my boys get one, man. Come on, Andrew ain't get one. Let me get one. I deserve it. We deserve it. I deserve it. No, you're right. I'm right. I deserve it. I need it.
They need a quarterback, though. That's their
Hey, Matthew Stafford coming to Indianapolis. Y'all heard it here first. Watch. You'll see. That's another episode.
True. So with that said, you guys, that'll pretty much wrap it up from here. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this collaboration between me and Kev. It's always a pleasure when Kev and I link up to talk really anything about sports. Kev, is there anything you want to plug in before we wrap this up?
Nah, man, everything's good to go on my end. You guys can find this little collaboration probably next week. I did post 2-3 episodes this week already as it is. Don't want to overload the crowd. So, kind of let the weekend go by, and you'll be seeing this on my podcast. More than likely, like I said, Monday or Tuesday.
Fair enough. This will be on my YouTube page. I'm probably not going to upload it to Anchor or Spotify or any of those platforms. This will just be solely on my YouTube channel, so you guys can go check it out once we get it uploaded. It should be uploaded probably Friday morning, so you guys will have access to it then. But with that said, you guys, that'll wrap it up from here. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys later.
Later, guys.